What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to our weekly podcast. We are batting practice. Arr,
Paul
aye, matey.
Skenes!
Aye,
Paul
matey.
Skenes!
We're talking the Pirates tonight, if you haven't guessed already. But before we jump in to those Pirates, boys, how are we feeling on this very fine and unseasonably warm Monday evening?
Unseasonably warm. It's supposed to be, yet again, here we go about the weather. 72
We hope,
tomorrow.
man.
It's sitting outside time of year, baby. I am doing my podcast research. I'm doing my research on Paul Skenes, aka the Pirates, sitting outside. It feels good. It feels good. And I actually, okay. So today I had to go to my girlfriend's parents and let their dog out because otherwise he gets sad and lonely. So,
Fair enough.
yeah. Um, but they have a pond in the back. And today's been one of the warmer days in the back, or in the back. Today's been one of the warmer days outside here. And these dogs, like, so I bring our dogs over too, and they run around in the backyard and they're going crazy and whatever. But this dog gets into the pond and, like, he was hot and he got into the pond to cool off.
Oh my God.
And
That's funny.
it's only like 65. It gets up to like
Hey,
95 here, yeah. So I got to make sure that my dog does not do that. They're okay. We're good, but yeah, it's already getting warm here for sure.
I'm ready
boys.
for baseball. Bring it on. It's
Dude,
back. It's back.
How
Long time ago.
Guys,
how many innings of spring training have you watched so far?
Short form videos, I've probably watched an inning combined, but that is probably 10 at bats, and most of those did not result in outs. So an inning is a weird definition because I feel like I've seen 20 plate appearances, but technically all what with one inning. I don't think I've seen many outs, to be honest.
yeah.
I tomorrow, if you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, so the day that this podcast is being uploaded, you'll see an out. I have an out lined up for you.
An out.
All
Okay.
right. I like
Still
I've
it.
one.
been I've
Gotta
been a
get two.
home run guy as of recently, but I have an
Of
out
course.
lined up for you.
Yeah, you
Okay.
got to sprinkle them in there for sure.
Hmm.
Just don't get some beer in your face like that Cardinals fan. That was
Uh,
awesome. Guy just took beer to the face. We've already had it. These are the baseball moments that I live for, honestly.
Andrew,
Yeah. Cardinals fans already have to live through podcasters, not just us, by the way, ripping off their team, destroying their team, and now they're getting beer spilled in their face too. It's just insult to injury, man.
yeah, it is. Well, speaking of the Cardinals, real quick, I have a follow-up from last week, from our story last week. Here it is.
Oh, wow.
Picture proof of us at the Cardinals game in April of 2006.
Heyo.
As you'll see, my dad wearing a Brewers hat and
I
Brewers
knew
shirt.
it.
I'm wearing a Brewers hat,
I
and
knew it.
somebody over here on the right, aka
Paradise
Jacob,
tennis, baby.
not wearing a Brewers hat. We did research, Jacob. We went and looked at other pictures from this trip. You had a Brewers hat on in other pictures. So for some reason that day you were not wearing the old Brewers hat.
You were respecting the Cardinals fan. Now, were those
Respect?
Brewers
Yeah.
shorts? Those could be Brewers
Oh,
shorts that he's rocking, though.
could
Have
be,
we?
could
Impressive.
be. Here's proof that we actually went into the stadium
Oh,
and
those are
saw
good
part of the
seats.
game.
Yes, and
Those
there
are
was a
good
foul ball that
seats.
was in the section next to us. It
There
was
we go. Wow.
crazy.
Wait, look at those upper decks. Come on, Cardinals fans. You guys got to
I
do better.
know, right? It's like 2 weeks into the inaugural season of their new stadium, and they got empty seats. Crazy.
And it
Some
looks
might
warm.
say bandwagon. It was I'm not saying unseasonably again, just said it. But it was like in the like 80s and 90s in April in St. Louis when we went shorts and t-shirts, man. It was
You
great.
know it. Look at
That's
that.
sick.
But there's your proof. They played the Cincinnati Reds.
They did. And they won.
They did.
I was gonna say it looked like a lot of red on both sides of the game. I was like, where else are they playing?
It's
Reds.
the old Reds uniforms that had like I think they were cutoffs even, whereas gray with the red
They're hot.
sleeves,
Those Reds
pretty
uniforms are
hot,
hot. Yeah.
pretty hot.
Those are
Bring cutoffs
actually,
back.
yeah. Those thing remember I think his name was David Dietrich or something like
That
that. The
sounds right. That
Yeah,
dude
sounds right.
who wore the cutoff. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he
But
was
then
he
you think of
was.
like I think of like a Barry Larkin, like a early
Oh yeah,
2000s Barry Larkin Hall of Famer wearing one of those, or Ken Griffey Jr.
hot,
Mm.
wearing one of those Reds jerseys. Oh yeah, those are hot.
hot. Bring cutoffs back, man.
Those are hot. But we are not here to talk about players in the past here. We're here to talk about players in the future. I guess in the present, but we're going to talk
Present.
about their futures because we're getting to see so many fun things going on here in spring training, and I think number one on my list is the prospects. There have been
Mm.
so many names thrown around that I've had no idea who these people are. Pitchers, hitters, everyone out there. Chris Bassett's a ball boy now, so who
That
knows
was
what's
super
going on.
funny.
But at least I love to see what's going on in spring training. I've been learning so much about the game, and there's been only like 4 days of games so far. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Um, yeah, and I've been enjoying my days where I've had time to watch innings of spring training. I've been watching them live, and I've probably caught about a game total. Not including footage going over it and making like YouTube videos and stuff like that. But I've gotten like a solid game of footage watched in there. Only a little bit of Brewers because I can't watch them, whatever reason they are not on film.
Mm.
Didn't set up the
Neither can
cameras.
we. Neither
Yeah.
can we. So
No, they just didn't set up the
they
cameras
just
down
don't
there.
have
Yeah.
cameras there.
So we only get behind the plate, which don't get me wrong, behind the plate views of Craig Yoho's changeup, that's not a changeup. That's a screwball.
Yeah,
That's a screwball.
it's nasty. It's better than Devin Williams.
It is.
And
I said it.
June. He's coming up in June.
maybe. But the other cool thing that I like about spring training is seeing guys wearing different uniforms. Because this is the adjustment period. We have to get used to that's taking the image out of your head and putting a whole new image right there. I'm thinking Justin Verlander, Juan Soto in a Mets jersey today. That looked so weird. That shade of blue on him, so weird. And then he hits a home run.
Of
That
course.
was the best. There are so many haters from especially Yankees fans that are actively rooting for him to suck, and it's been awesome to see him doing so well. I like Juan Soto. I don't really like the Mets, but I do. He's a good player on a all right team
Ooh,
from
hot
a
take.
Andrew liking standpoint.
From an Andrew liking standpoint. Yeah. Well, like I said, we're not here to talk about the past players. We're here to talk about the present and the future. And it's only right to introduce a new segment here on the Batting Practice Podcast as spring training games have started. And we've all said we've consumed a little bit of time, whether it be through short form content or highlights or actually catching the games live. We're watching stuff. We're getting used to watching some baseball here. And we're gonna talk about some standouts, some spring standouts, some players that have caught our eyes so far that you might not necessarily think are going to be big leaguers that you've heard of before, or maybe even big leaguers as of like the start of the season, much less well into the season. But players that have stood out to us or will hopefully stand out for the rest of spring training, and players that we just like to watch. And we've each, I believe you guys, do you have each have a player
Oh yeah.
set aside? Yeah. Well, Andrew, why don't you tell us about your spring standout?
Here we go. Mr. Matt Gorski, part of the team we'll be covering today. He's just finishing his triple A season, and on Saturday, I believe, he hit a grand slam and a two-run homer for your Pittsburgh Pirates. they need somebody to hit this year, which we'll talk about. And maybe it's Mr. Matt Gorski. It's not guaranteed he's going to get a big league roster spot, but if he keeps this up, I don't see how they can keep him out, especially as they're trying to mix in young players. But Matt Gorski, another name to watch from the Pirates, but definitely lesser known since he's coming up through the minors.
Yeah, I did see. So going through StatCast, I saw that he was one of only a few players to have hit 2 home runs already.
Yeah,
I
same
also
game.
saw, yeah,
That's funny. That's funny that you say that because, well, you'll find out soon enough.
mm, okay,
Hmm.
I might know who you're gonna go for as well.
Hmm.
I also saw that he in the Pirates depth chart of 2025, he's 27 years old already.
I know.
And that scares me just a little bit. Um, Usually pitchers might spend a little bit more time than hitters. Like if you don't have it by 27, like let's be honest, I'm 28 and I don't have it, so I probably don't have much of a shot to make it in the big leagues. But he's hitting home runs at a rapid pace. Hey, this could be the start of like lighting a fire on the back end of his 20s, and he could come up. That would be really cool.
They need it. They need an offensive weapon. So maybe it's Matt Gorski, or maybe this is his moment. This is what spring training is about. It's giving the guys that usually don't get the platform, letting them have a absolutely standout day. One of the best performances of spring training so far.
I love it. Well, Jacob, speaking of players that have hit 2 home runs in a game so far this spring training, everyone's worried about where's the power going to come from the Brewers infield without Willie Adames. Well, have you ever heard of a lad named Vinny Capra? Because he hit two home
Capybara?
runs in the first spring training game for the Brewers, including a walk-off home run to win the first spring training game. So I think it's only fair, it's only right. I go homerish. It's how I roll. I'm sticking with Vinny Capra as my standout player. Um, yeah, he another player who hasn't made a big impact, getting kind of up there in age in terms of making it in the big leagues. Um, but he hasn't really ever had the chance. So maybe this year slides in at third base a little bit and gets some more bats and hits maybe 2 home runs in a game for the Brewers in the real season, regular season.
In the real season,
The
hey.
you know what I mean.
He's
Spring
28
training
too.
record doesn't
Right?
matter. Doesn't matter. Brewers, they're
Nope.
already 1-2. Cubs, they're 5-0. Does that scare you? Does
Beat the
that scare you
Dodgers. They
at
beat the
all?
Dodgers.
Oh my God. The Cubs are 5-0. They're gonna win the spring training series.
They
OMG.
always do. I think they win it every year.
It shows
Cactus
it
Well,
League
doesn't matter.
champs. Hang the banner.
well, you guys went with some older-ish players here on the list, and I'm gonna go with someone who is on the exact opposite side of the spectrum. He was born in 2003, I
Wow.
believe.
Yikes. Yikes.
Yes.
He can
He
drink.
just turned 22 as
Okay.
of 2 weeks ago from yesterday. And he was drafted this round or this year, last year, I guess it would be
Wow.
since it's 2025 now, but he was drafted in 2024 by the Kansas City Royals in the first round. Pick 6 overall, one of the biggest names in prospects right now, Jack Caglianone. Or if you want me to go really Italian here, Jack Caglianone.
It
I worked on it. I tried. I really tried before the podcast.
wasn't horrible.
Wow.
That was good. So the GLI in Italian, it's just like a Y. Fun fact. But doesn't matter. We're speaking about not Ys, but we're speaking about dubs in Jack Caglianone. Because what does he do but in his first spring training game, first game against big league pitching, he's out of college. He's out of Florida. He hasn't faced big league pitching ever. And he hits a home run 435 feet, 115 miles an hour off the bat.
Jeez.
Wild.
Wow. Not many
Elite.
players can do that. Like
Elite.
you're getting up there in like Elly De La Cruz, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton range when you hit a ball that hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's only 22, but don't be surprised if he makes it to the big leagues as long as he can dominate early on in the minor leagues. Don't be surprised if we see him soon. Maybe, hopefully this season, if not very soon to come. Jack Caglianone. I'm gonna watch him this spring for sure.
I remember watching him on Florida, and he was always super entertaining for that team. So it's fun to see him making an impact already.
Oh, by the way, he also pitched for Florida.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Shohei Ohtani.
They sure do love those Italians though, and the Royals with Vinny Pasca. I'm gonna
Hmm.
butcher his last
Oh
name.
yeah.
Uh,
Pascantino.
Pascatino. Guys, it's the day of the Italians.
Hmm.
Capra, and man, we're just
It's
Italians are
true.
killing it. Italians
Vinny.
are killing it. Vinny,
Imagine if you combine their two names. Vinny Caglianone.
Yeah, right.
that's a great name. Stanton had
Really
a great
makes
home run too, by
really
the way.
makes a
That
good
was
cannoli.
he had a great home run.
Love it. We are off and running, baby.
Any
Yeah.
pitching standouts? Any we've been
I
talking
was
talking
about to say we
offense.
went all with offensive players here. We've
Boys,
already we've talked Craig Yoho and we've talked him
boys,
again, but
boys, let's talk about, can we talk about Craig Yoho one more
we've
time?
seen him pitch and it was fantastic.
It's great.
And I don't
It's
know why
great.
like he's made the list. We talked about it last week. He's made the list of John Boy Media. He's made the list on ESPN. He's made like not just our Homer Brewers podcast list. He and he comes out and pitches fantastic in his first pitching appearance and throws screwballs. So yeah, I think we've already mentioned pitching that we can't wait to see.
By the way, guys, congrats. You guys can play for the Yankees now. Not just me. You guys can play for the Yankees now too. You don't have to shave.
I
So
don't have to
you
shave like
guys
I
you
didn't
guys are
for this
good.
podcast. Yeah.
Let's
That would have been
go.
hilarious to see. Yeah, you guys with the Yankees look. That would be something to behold.
That might be not a very pretty sight. I
Oh,
won't lie.
Devin Williams. Seeing Devin Williams, it was more jarring for my mind to see Devin Williams without that much facial hair. That was as jarring as seeing Juan Soto in the Mets uniform, to be honest. But it was just things in your brain that just don't go together, and you're just like, what is this? What is going on? But yeah,
That's
Yankees
funny.
reversed a 50-year tradition. They are now
Crazy.
allowing people well-groomed beards. So you boys are welcome on the Yanks. That's if that was the only thing holding you back, get ready. Get ready for that call.
I
Um,
mean, I could play better defense than the Yankees.
no,
Oh,
probably.
wait. Guys, we were trashing Seiya Suzuki a couple weeks ago on our Cubs podcast. He actually had a great outfield assist. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Ooh,
He had a
okay. Well,
great
shout
that
out.
he, so hand up. Actually, no. Maybe you guys put a hand up. Trashing Seiya Suzuki's defense. He might be back,
Spr
boys.
we'll see. I'm at a we'll see point. I'm not ready to apologize yet, but we'll
Okay.
see.
Okay. All right.
My hand is half raised.
If you
It
do,
depends. It's a classic Nosh answer. It
It's
depends.
spring training. Come on, it's spring training.
but
Hmm.
okay, if you hold out now though, I think the full apology has to be in Japanese.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I will learn Japanese for you.
If
What
if
what
he
are
proves you
we?
wrong.
Okay, all right, okay,
Yep. That's the punishment. If you hold
all
out and
right.
you're wrong, you can commit
Well,
now. Just say I'm
good
sorry.
luck learning Japanese, buddy.
Get ready to learn Japanese, buddy.
There you go. We're off the rails here. We need to spring back to the rails here.
Let's get back on
Why?
the
Because
boat.
did you like that? Spring training? Spring back to the rails? That didn't
That
really
was
make any
good.
sense. I thought it was a good transition here. Um, but you heard at the beginning of the show, it's time to bring you our keys to the game for this week. And before we get into it, a quick note on keys to the game. It's meant to be a preseason podcast topic. And well, we're like, there's still 26 teams left after today. And there's only like 4 weeks until baseball starts. Ooh, how about that? 4 weeks until baseball starts. That's sick.
Yeah, let's get a clap for
Ooh.
that.
Yes,
So
sir.
what's going to happen to keys to the game? Well, it's simple. We're going to switch it over to a similar-ish segment, not called keys to the game, and we're going to put keys to the game on hold till the end of the season and then pick back right up where we left off. So don't worry. It's not going to, I mean, it will just go away, but it's not going to go away forever. It'll return and we'll replace it with something that makes a little bit more sense during the season. But for your keys to the game for this week, we are talking about Livy Dunn and her Pittsburgh Pirates. They finished. It's not that bad. Hear me out. It's not that bad. 76 and 86, and it looks worse than it did because they were in last place in the Central. That's only 10 games under 500. We're talking the Pirates here. We're not talking if it was like the Yankees, if it was the Dodgers putting up a 76 and 86 record, our minds would be blown. But for the Pirates, for what we had with the Pirates going into last year, it was them and the Brewers who were projected low down on the list. It was them, the Brewers, and the Reds were lowest down on the list. And sure enough, the Pirates did finish last. And well, I mean, if we look at their team ranks, it kind of makes sense.
Ugly.
It's,
Very
yeah,
ugly.
offensive, nothing of the top five big stats rank higher than 23rd in the league. Batting average 234. It's 23rd in the league. On base percentage 25th in the league. Slugging 27th in the league. Not great. Let's go over to the pitching side. ERA 20th in the league. Home runs allowed 6th.
Oof.
That's pretty good.
They just didn't give up home
That's
runs.
pretty good.
Wait, is that
How
the
about
sixth
that?
fewest? Or wait, okay, what
It's
we're
the
reading
sixth
now. Is it
fewest. No,
this?
it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, sixth fewest.
That's a good stat. But then you
Okay.
go back down to walks and hits per innings pitched, whip, and it's back down to 23rd. So people were still hitting them, just maybe not as hard out of the ballpark. Batting average against, also 23rd. And this is with Paul Skenes' stats included on the pitching side too here. So
Yeah.
yeah, just not the greatest team stats overall, and it makes sense that they finished in last place. What do you guys think?
I mean, if you look in their bullpen, there's a new bullpen coach. The performance of their bullpen did not live up to expectations, and they also have a new hitting coach too. Just like the Cardinals. I think it's very common in baseball if you're not ready to clean house with your roster, the bullpen, the hitting coach, if those parts of your team are not good, they're gone, they're out. So new faces, new blood. What I'm really excited though, guys, I don't know if you saw this. Daniel Vogelbach, former Brewer, former Met, was named special assistant to the hitting department. That sounds like a made up office like title, but he's now going to be with the Pirates this year, helping out hitters. Even though, I mean, was he that good of a hitter himself? I don't know. Maybe he can explain it better than he can play it. Lots of guys like that exist. Think about Craig Counsell. But yeah, Daniel Vogelbach. He's the panacea for the Pirates.
Hey, as soon as that was announced, I made a YouTube video about it.
Hey, what
So
were your thoughts?
I don't know. Well, I don't entirely understand what his job is. I would like
It's
to see
made
a
up.
job description and where can I apply? Because that sounds fun. But I'm not entirely sure how it's going to help out the Pirates hitting as they were 23rd in the league of everything last year. And I mean, if we're looking at people that they brought in, did they really make any crazy big moves on the offensive end that is going to improve them? For me, it doesn't really look like it.
Yeah, going back quickly to their team stats, finishing bottom third in every major category on offense and defense. I should say offense and pitching, and only finishing 10 games under 500 is actually pretty impressive.
Right?
I feel like if you looked at where these team stats landed last year, I would have projected them closer to like 66 wins and 96 losses as opposed to 76 and 86. So kind of an impressive feat, although not a good impressive because they still finished in last place in the division. But to amass 76 wins with that low of stats is pretty darn impressive. But yeah,
Yeah.
Jacob, uh, I'm gonna hold off on my generalized, I don't want to call it a rant, but generalized discussion
Rant,
on the
rant,
Pirates
rant,
rant.
Rant.
rant, rant,
I'll save
rant.
it for now, but looking
What?
at their additions, Tommy Pham is, I want to say, 37 now.
Yes, that
Um,
is correct.
Known
Adam
Brewers hater.
Frazier, known Brewers
Yep,
hater, so staying in the division, so that could be exciting. Will him and Contreras fight again this year? It's possible. Adam Frazier is, I want to say 38. So right
yep,
up there with Tommy Pham. Um, and then somebody who I was actually very excited for and thought was a great move for them was Spencer Horowitz. I think he would have slotted in great at first base, brought some much needed power to this lineup because they are lacking in power big time. But of course, then he goes and gets surgery on his wrist and is going to miss the first couple months of the season. So that's a big miss for them, I think. And there's not really a whole lot else sliding up into that position in his place. So I am a little bit worried about the additions the Pirates made.
I mean, not to rag on Spencer Horowitz, but he also has only had, I want to say, 30 games or so of big
Yeah,
league
not a
time.
lot to go off of.
Yeah,
yeah.
not too much. Not too much. And call me crazy,
You're
but
crazy.
just on the offensive end, I think their departures, their players that they lost this offseason, are going to make more of an impact on the bad side than who they lost or who they gained. And they didn't lose that much on the offensive side. They only lost Connor Joe and Rowdy Tellez. Um, Few other players that we could mention too, but I think these are the big two. Rowdy providing some power
Yeah.
and had a pretty okay year last year when he did play. He didn't play some of the year. I shouldn't say he didn't play most of the year. That's crazy. Same with Connor Joe. Pretty average player as well. But looking at who they picked up, they lost Rowdy's what? 30, maybe 29.
Yep.
Connor Joe same. And they picked up some grandpas.
Yeah.
And we're not talking like a 37-year-old Giancarlo Stanton. We're talking Tommy Pham. So they really kind of evened out on the players that you picked up versus lost on the offensive side, in my opinion. And you could almost say the same thing about their additions versus departures on their defensive side too, on their pitching side. And they did bring in Andrew Heaney. Fun fact, I own his So Rare card on the
Oh,
Rangers.
Hey,
So they'll have some pitching there, but in the bullpen, they lost Aroldis Chapman, who was, I mean, he's Aroldis Chapman. He could throw the ball
yeah.
105 miles an hour and he comes out of your bullpen. Strong lefty and is very hard to hit. Very hard to hit unless you're Rajai Davis on the Indians in 2016. Shout out to
yeah.
him for keeping that game alive.
He pitched 60 plus innings for them last year too.
Yeah,
So
That's crazy.
it's not like they're making up those innings easily. That's a lot of innings coming out of your bullpen. Um, and a bullpen that was not very good last year and I
No.
don't think got any better and probably got worse. So
New
that's a big
coach.
miss.
New coach.
New coach. Andrew, I don't know if you know this, but the coach can only do so much.
I don't know, man. I think the
You're
coach.
right.
Okay,
You're right. Changing
we'll have to.
vibes.
We'll actually have to have a good discussion about this. Like, does the coach actually matter? Does it matter? I don't know.
Ooh, that
But
could be a
for
whole podcast in itself.
I completely agree with you guys though that the external moves, additions, subtractions, that is not what's going to move the Pirates forward or back this year. It's about their existing team and whether they take a step forward or take a step back. The player I've got my eye on, and it was actually a guy I was targeting on So Rare going into last season, was Jack Sawicki. He is was expected to be a 30 plus home run hitter. That's why I got him to start the season. And to be honest, I thought he was going to have an amazing year, all-star caliber player with a great power stroke. But he just could not hit the ball. He struck out, led nearly the majors in strikeout rate. He cannot hit lefties. It was so bad that he got sent down to the minors midway through last season in July. He'll probably be back. He'll be back on the major league team because, to be honest, they need him. He's going to be a big piece. But it's him, guys like him, that I think control the fate of the Pirates in 2025. And I don't know. I still have his silver card. I'm gonna probably play him when the Pirates have 4 games in a game week. But until he proves it to me, I am skeptical. As a guy who was very high on him last season and owned his silver card, I don't know if I'm gonna be picking up his in-season card until he proves it to me. Uh, but yeah, Jack Switzky, what do you guys think about him?
Yeah, I think he's going to have a little bit of a battle coming out of spring training in terms of I feel good about him making the opening day roster. I'm not convinced about him making it as a starter. We'll see
Whoa.
where he falls in that depth chart. Um, uh, I think their other right fielder is Palacios, right? Is that correct? Um, but I don't know. I
I mean,
like you
they had
said, he
Connor
hasn't.
Joe.
Yeah, right. He hasn't really proved it
Yeah.
yet in the majors, so it's hard to lean on that coming out of spring training directly into the opening day starting lineup. But at the same time, you got to give these young guys a chance, and he should probably have a longer leash, um, because he just needs to get more comfortable and used to hitting major league pitching. Um, so yeah, I think you make a good point, right? Like I think every team is reliant on whether their younger players take a step forward or a step back, outside of probably the Dodgers and the Yankees who
Right.
can
The
buy
pie
whoever they
players.
want.
Yeah.
These smaller market type teams rely heavily on whether these young guys can perform or not. I think the best way that these teams can help with that is to mitigate the risk of those players not performing well. And the Pirates didn't really do a whole lot to mitigate that risk in case somebody like Jack Sawinski isn't an everyday right fielder for them. In case, Horwitz gets hurt and has surgery on his wrist, and now they have Cook, who's most likely going to start at first base. So I think that's a big miss for them. They have controllable young pitching, which is rare. It's hard to have multiple guys, Skenes, Jones, uh, Keller, guys that are young, controllable pitchers, um, that you're not paying a ton of money for. So the window is now for them, and they didn't really do a whole lot to improve in their offense. So I think the Pirates are one of the teams that I'm most frustrated with, which is funny coming from a Brewers fan. It only helps me, right? Because they're not,
Hmm.
well, they might be competitive in the Central, but we'll see. But if all they needed was probably one or two more impact type bats, and this is a very legitimate contending team that I would have picked to probably make the postseason. Now I'm looking at it and I'm hoping that they win 75 games this year. So I think it's a big miss on their part. But yeah, some of these young guys take a step forward, and we're probably having a different discussion come June, July, August.
Totally agree. Like their pitching, if it can perform starting pitching, you got you know who, but we got a couple other players too that could perform too. And you get them to work out and you get the hitting. Like Brian Reynolds is gonna Brian Reynolds. Andrew
Yeah.
McCutcheon,
Hmm.
former MVP, he's older, but like, hey, he still hits homers with the best of them. He can still
Sure.
rock the ball if he needs to. Very clutch too. We have, I think, one of my favorite players, and this is solely because I was watching a Pirates game last year and I heard him come up to bat and he had a Greta Van Fleet song. Not
Mm.
not a song that you would expect from someone of his age. You're expecting like some Charlie XCX, some Chapel Roan,
Sure.
some Travis
Yeah.
Scott, maybe some Kendrick, but no, Greta. For my boy Nick Gonzalez, second baseman, I'm hoping that he takes off this year. Why? Because of his walk-up song? Sure. But
Yeah.
I think he has potential to be a bigger bat in their lineup for sure. And if him, McCutchen, Brian Reynolds can lead the squad offensively, you're right. I think we will be having a different discussion, especially if these rookies on the pitching, or I guess they're not rookies anymore on the pitching
Right.
side, take over. So let's talk about the pitching side.
Yeah.
Everything that everyone has been waiting for, we're finally talking about it.
Mitch Keller.
Mitch Keller. I own his limited and rare card in So Rare. I own both. I'm very high on Mitch Keller. In all seriousness, I am.
No, yes.
Yes.
He's going to be a very big part of this team. If they
Yes.
do well in 2025, it's as equally Mitch Keller as it is the guy who I don't we'll talk about.
Livy Dunn.
Yes, Livy Dunn's man. But
Hmm.
just like, and I think the point Josh made about like central teams like in the central that don't have a lot of money, I think the Pirates are also in this camp too, where, I would put very high confidence Mitch Keller, Paul Skenes. After that, though, I do think, there what we see is a drop off, and we see that with most rotations, again, not everyone except the Dodgers that just go out and buy pitchers. It's for I think for teams like the Cubs, the Cardinals, maybe the Brewers, Pirates, I'll throw them in there. The guys in the third, fourth, and fifth part of the rotation, that I think is going to again determine whether they're successful or not. Is equally as important as like Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller having amazing seasons. Because again, you could if you win two with them, then lose the next three because you have no one else to pitch. You're going to have a losing season all year. So they do need to figure that out. Maybe I'm overlooking someone, but I do think I'm concerned, at least from a Pirates perspective, after we get beyond Mitch Keller and Paul Skeens, who cannot pitch every game for them physically.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
I'm a
sorry,
little bit
Josh.
higher. I'm a little bit higher on J-
Jared
Jones
Jones.
and Jared
Same. It's
Jones
exactly what I was
and
going to
Bailey
say. Yeah.
Falter. Bailey Falter last year was 8-9 with a 4.43 ERA. I mean, for a team that was 10 games under 500, a team that had bottom third, bottom fourth even offensive stats to put up an 8-9 season with a 4.43 ERA is not really all that bad when you look into it. So I feel a little bit better about that. I'm concerned about their fifth starter. They have some young pitching prospects that have the potential to take over that spot. And you can kind of mix and match with the fifth starter, where you actually have a six-man rotation. You're kind of working guys in and out. So I think the fifth spot in a rotation is a little bit easier to fill. I think Jones and Falter could be formidable pitchers for them. I'm gonna throw this out there. I think the Pirates have a top eight pitching staff in baseball right now.
Oh, sure,
Starting
yes.
pitching staff, because their bullpen is a bottom 8 to 10 bullpen. So guess what? Your starting pitching can be great if your bullpen can't hold a lead, or if you can't get a lead in the first place because your hitting's not good. Your team's probably not going to win a lot of games. I think that is the Pirates' problem. Starting pitching will be great. Hitting will be questionable. Bullpen will probably be even more questionable and the weak point of this team.
Mm,
Top
There
eight
you go.
starting pitching staff for me.
that's
You heard it
okay.
here. Top
Wow.
eight.
Top
If
eight.
Paul Skeens takes a step back, which he is favored to win the NL Cy Young this year, I, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
You got me. Top
He's
eight.
elastic. He's young.
Yeah. Yeah. That UCL's intact still, right?
Yeah.
Should.
Someone we forgot to mention too. Well, actually, hold on. Hold on. We'll hold
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Uh, do you guys have any prospects that you're excited about here on the Pirates? Um, I have one, And although he hasn't had the best numbers in the minor leagues, I've seen him hit the ball hard and far. And
Hmm.
that's Termar Johnson,
Mm.
who is one of the younger players in the minor leagues right now. He's only 20 years old. 20 years old, and he's invited to the spring training roster this year. He was a former round one, yet again, overall pick number 4. And he's on the Pirates minor league team right now. I don't know what is their team. I don't know their minor league teams. The Wahoos? The Blue Wahoos, is that correct? If I got that correct, shout out to me, let me know.
Wait,
Um,
their logo looks a little interesting. At least one of their teams that I'm seeing.
okay. Okay. But
A
yeah,
little.
another second baseman here, Tamar Johnson. So he would be fighting with Nick Gonzalez, my other pick for that position. But he's young, he's fast, and he can hit the ball hard. So I think that's very impressive. Um, both of which. He had 15 home runs last year, 22 stolen bases.
Love it.
That's not horrible.
No,
Oh,
237 average. Not great, but
still
366
young.
OBP, 752 OPS, career almost 800 OPS hitter.
Sure.
Do
Sounds
that in the
good to
big
me.
leagues, you're getting a starting position.
Sounds
You
good
just
to
got to
me.
do it in the big leagues. Any other prospects you guys are looking at?
I got one. I got one. I think he's going to be the fifth starter for this team. Speaking of the starting rotation, it's their top prospect, Bubba Chandler.
mm,
Bubba. I mean, come on,
Bubba Gump.
Yes,
Bubba Chandler.
sir.
Uh, so yeah, I think he's gonna fill that fifth starter spot. Maybe not right away at the beginning of the season, like I said. You can piece that spot together, but by the end of the season, I think he's gonna be their fifth starter. He's been rocking out in the minors for a couple of years now, drafted in 2021. Um, he's 22 years old, so he's still plenty young, but he's got some great pitches. He's got some pretty nasty stuff. And he's put up some really great numbers after making some adjustments in AAA. So I think he's going to slide right into that fifth starting spot perfectly for them.
I love it.
I'll round
Andrew,
it
anyone
out.
else you're looking at?
Defense wins championships, especially people that are fast. I got my eyes on a guy who is yet to make his MLB debut, Mr. Sung Shae Chen of Taiwan, who was added to the 40-man roster recently for the Pirates. And unfortunately for him, he plays shortstop for the Pirates, which is a very, very tough position to break through, as you know, they have a very, very established player there. But he has
They
that.
moved him to center field.
They don't. They don't. They
They
don't.
moved they
No,
They
moved
don't.
O'Neil Cruz to center field.
Yes,
they
It is
did.
a
That's a big
current
they
move.
their
did.
current starting shortstop is IKF.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know all right. Well, I think all right, I'm gonna say by June. I think he's gonna be the starting shortstop of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, looking on for the Pirates going into this next year, they are not looking that great. However, they have better odds than the Cardinals to win both the division and the World Series. I think. I think.
Oh.
Yes, they have the same odds as the Cardinals to win to win the NL Central at +1,000, and they are +12,000 to win the World Series. The Cardinals are +13. So how
Wow.
about that? The odds makers, Las Vegas, likes the Pirates a slight bit more than the Cardinals. How about you guys? What do you think?
I like them more than the Cardinals, but to be honest, it's they kind of feel like a team that needs to go for it, but just doesn't have everything in place to do so. I hope I'm not going to manifest this, but we don't see a Luka Doncic like trade with Paul Skenes, where they. But again, but to be honest though, how do the Pirates actually go into becoming serious contenders without making a huge? Where do they get the money? Where do they get the draft picks from? I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I don't think they're gonna be a contender this year. But to be a contender next year, I don't know what they have to do. Maybe all of the players we talked about have to take a step forward, but they need to be able to trade a guy like Corbin Burns. Or, like that's how the Brewers playbook, you grow these guys up and then you trade them out and then you get more prospects than you traded for and you just grow that way. I don't know, how the Pirates are going to do it, but yeah, I don't think they're going to be contenders, but I think they're going to be a little bit better than the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I have the Cardinals last in the division this year. I think I have the Pirates somewhere around 500, which is doesn't sound amazing, but for them would actually be one of their better seasons in recent memory. Um, I'd put them at somewhere between like 78 to 80 wins. How about we'll say, let's call it 79 wins, 80 wins.
Huh.
But I think not contending. I think close. I think they'll be in it for longer than they were last year. But I don't think by the end of the season, they'll be contending.
Well, there you have it. We will see. It depends. Nosh, give me an it depends.
It depends.
It does. It really depends. And I want their pitching and offense to click. And if it clicks in the same year, hey,
Watch out.
division winners, at least a wild card spot, it's open for you. It's
Watch
open
out.
for you for sure. The Central doesn't have like a standout team.
Nope.
Nope.
It doesn't have a Dodgers. It doesn't have a Yankees. And the Brewers have been playoff contenders for a while now. But have they put up 105 wins in recent memory or ever? No.
Nope.
So, yeah,
Nope.
we will see. We will see for sure. It depends. But before we get into talking about PNC Ballpark, remember that the Batting Practice podcast is affiliated with SoRare MLB and just so rare in general. And guess what? As of today, as of recording this, there are 20 days left until the market opens on SoRare, and we will get our first glimpse of 2025 cards. Are you tired of playing the same old fantasy MLB game? Well, why don't you jump on over to SoRare and build the fantasy dream team that you've always wanted to build, where you can buy your own cards off of the market and win fun prizes such as merchandise, money, other cards, tickets, and new other prizes that they come up with throughout the year. But like I said, use our affiliate code or use our affiliate link in the description below for $50 in market credit towards building that team. Hey, 50 bucks, that could get you a pretty solid amount of Pirates players. Or,
Probably.
yeah, Andrew, last week you said that on our pitchers reporting segment,
Hmm.
maybe it's 2 weeks ago, that Paul Skenes is on your list to buy for So Rare in 2025.
Yeah.
Tell me a pirate that you're going to buy that isn't Paul Skenes.
Ooh.
I have his classic card, Jack Swiskey, probably. But I'm gonna give it up to Mr. David Bednar because we love closers, especially closers in the NL Central here on this podcast. Shout out to David Bednar. He's also the greatest closer in the NL Central because we've said that every single episode.
Wait, Andrew Craig Yoho? Have you heard of him? Ha,
Hey,
No short
if,
cards yet.
hear me out,
sure.
if the Pirates offense isn't that great again this year, but they do win a decent amount of games, those games theoretically will be closer and will require a closer.
Sure.
That's right.
Good point.
Bednar.
Nosh, what about you? Anyone other than Paul Skeens that you're looking at?
Yeah, I think we haven't given this player enough screen time when talking about the Pirates. Projected to be their top WAR getter in the offense. Oneil Cruz.
Yeah.
I think he'll generate a little bit more WAR in center field. Obviously, no defensive scoring in Soder yet, but one of the great elite bat to ball skills. I mean, he hits the ball harder than
He hits it
anyone in
hard.
the MLB. I
Misses.
think last year he had like 10 of the top 15 fastest exit velos. So, super fun player to watch. Hits the ball extremely hard. If he can stay healthy and play a full year this year, I really like him to be an MVP candidate.
Oh,
Like it.
So I'm taking Oneil Cruz.
An MVP candidate.
love
Yeah,
that.
Holy cow.
everybody's talking about this other Cruz, this Ellie guy on the Reds. I'm taking
Mm.
Oneil. Give me Oneil.
I'm
Well,
gonna look up what his MVP odds are right now.
that's
Pop-
crazy. Yeah.
Sprinkle.
If
Plus
I
13,000.
Wow, that's the exact amount of odds that the Cardinals have to win the World Series. What do you think is
Little,
more likely? You should
Ooh.
parlay that.
Ooh.
little
Oh my
sprinkle.
God.
You could
I
be a
do think
millionaire.
I would agree that the Pirates and or Cardinals have a worse odd. I would put O'Neill Cruz MVP. I would put that higher than either of those two teams winning the World Series.
Yeah,
And I would love to own a Sower card as well.
Yeah, well, if I
absolutely.
had to go with someone on the Pirates, I got to go with a classic here. I have to go with someone who kind of came out and said that he didn't necessarily want to be traded, but wouldn't be against it a few years ago, but has
Mm.
stuck with the Pirates and is an all-star, is a perennial all-star in Brian Reynolds. You can
Mm.
get his so rare card right now, and we're talking. Granted, he's not putting up 50 home runs a year. He's not putting up a 320 batting average, but he will have good enough game weeks that will win you rewards for sure. You can buy him for $3 on Sorare right now. $3
Love it.
for Brian
Classic card.
Reynolds. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is great. Yeah, his in-season cards will be more for sure, but you won't be able to use your market credit towards this sale necessarily. But you don't need to. With $3 as a cheap card, get him. Brian
It's
Reynolds.
fun to
Like
own.
I said, he's an all-star who will hit home runs, and hey, he will get more RBIs if the rest of his team can produce too. And I'm hoping that the rest of his team can produce too. So I'm going to go with Brian Reynolds.
Like it.
Well, last but not least here, before we get into your favorite part of the say of batting practice podcast here, let's talk about PNC Ballpark. Our
Mm.
ballpark of the week, PNC Park, out here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It opened in 2001. Sound familiar? And at the time, it actually had the second smallest amount of seating in the
Ow.
MLB, which that really surprised me because it's a modern stadium. So having it be open only 20 years, 25 years ago, and having it have one of the smallest attendances, hmm, maybe they weren't expecting that many fans to come to the game. Does it really make any sense? I don't know. But something else that happened to PNC in 2001 was that it reviewed positively, like overall swarms of positive feedback coming in to PNC Park when it first opened. It is one of the coolest looking ballparks from home plate I think you have out there in the MLB. Similar to St. Louis, actually, where in center field, one of its most prominent features that the ballpark displays is not actually inside the ballpark, but rather just a view in the Roberto Clemente Bridge. That's right. So the bridge behind PNC Park is named after Clemente himself. Did you know that?
I did not. That's pretty
Yeah.
sick.
I actually did not.
Um, the bridge spans the famous Allegheny River in the back and was renamed to the Roberto Clemente Bridge in 1998. And speaking of the Allegheny, again, one of the greatest views I think in baseball, um, it does receive splash hits. When you think of splash hits, you think of the splash hit counter in San Francisco at Oracle Park. But do you think about the ones that go? I think it's harder to hit a ball into the Allegheny than it is into the China Basin out there in San Francisco. I think you got to hit it a little bit harder. And yet
456 feet.
players have managed to do it, including Nosh, your pick, Oneil Cruz, has done it before. I'm pretty sure Rowdy Tellez has also done it before. I will always remember Ryan Howard smashing a home run way out in PNC Park. I will never forget that, landing it way into the Allegheny. But 456 feet, huh? How about that?
That's the
And
shortest distance.
it's the shortest distance to the Allegheny from home plate.
That's on the
Correct.
fly. On the
Yes.
fly, correct?
There are some on the fly, but that is straight down. It's straight down the right
Wow.
field line,
Wow.
and it's to the water.
How about that? Well, last but not least here about PNC Park, but a fun fact about it is that it has the highest up announcer booth in baseball.
Ooh.
I will flash some pictures up here on the screen now, but I've always listened to specifically Brewers announcer Brian Anderson complain about, and Rock, Bill Schroeder, complain about how high up it is to announce at PNC Park. And you look at the view, I found a picture on Brian Anderson's Instagram of the view in Pittsburgh, and it's way up there.
It's terrifying.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's way up there. It must be harder
Scary.
to see balls and strikes from up there. So imagine being a commentator having to go play by play here, every single pitch. I don't know why it's built up so high. If anyone knows the answer to that, let me know. But I thought that was an interesting fun fact about PNC Park. But there you have it. That is our ballpark of the week. PNC out there in Pittsburgh. Shout out to all the Yinzers out there representing those Pirates.
I got some fun facts too about the home runs in the river. Do you want to hear them real quick?
Let's hear
Let's
it.
hear it. Fire
There
them
have
off.
been, guess how many home runs there have been in the river since PNC has opened?
I would say if San Francisco has 100, I would say similar. I'd say like 75.
86.
If you averaged yourselves, you'd be perfect. It's 80
Oh.
home runs
Oh,
Wow.
hit by 50 different people. So there are some, like Josh Bell, who have hit multiple home
Yeah.
runs in the river.
I
Shout out to
made
that.
a YouTube short about that.
There
Check
we
it
go.
out on our YouTube.
Man, you got shorts about
Subscribe.
everything.
I am in there like swimwear with my content. You don't know what's going on until you visit our YouTube channel because I already knew that.
I'm like
I already knew
severed.
it.
I'm like
Josh Bell.
severed from
Did
the
you know
from the
Josh
shorts.
Bell? Yeah. Did you know Josh Bell has the highest OPS for the Pirates in the past 15 years?
that's not
That's
good.
crazy.
That's not good.
It was good. It was 936.
He was
That's
good.
impressive.
He was
That's
really good.
impressive.
He's an all-star.
It's
He's back in the
impressive.
Nationals this year.
Shout out Josh
But-
Bell.
Yeah. Well,
Combination of Drake and Josh.
how about that? Your Pittsburgh Pirates of 2025. I think out of teams that I don't necessarily like but want to do well, they're up there. Does that make
For
sense?
sure.
Agree.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Completely. Along with Cincinnati, who we'll be talking about next week.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Well,
Have-
Nosh, why
have
don't
you-
you hop on over here?
Have any of you
And-
been to PNC?
I have not.
Number
I've
one
I've
on
never
my
actually
list.
been
That's
been
on my
to
list as
Pittsburgh.
well.
Number
We should
one.
do
Same.
a Baltimore and Pittsburgh trip. Knock
Oh,
out
is Baltimore-
Camden.
Is Baltimore
And
close to Pittsburgh? I don't think it is.
yeah, it is. In the grand scheme of things.
General direction. General
Couple
direction.
hours.
Yeah.
No way. I bet you it's
Yeah.
like 6 hours, 8
Yeah,
hours.
exactly. Okay. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. 6 hours is
Hey.
nothing.
But like it's a weird grouping. I feel like it'd be like go to Phillies in Pittsburgh, even though that's actually pretty far too.
Probably
I
six
like it, though.
hours as well.
No. It's
No,
probably
it's not.
5.
You're right.
Baltimore to Pittsburgh drive is 4 hours and 2 minutes.
It's not
Wow.
bad. It's closer than you'd think.
Philadelphia to Pittsburgh drive is 4 hours and 54 minutes.
Oh, I would. You. Hey.
Whoa.
Hey.
Whoa.
Woo.
Wow. That's
We're
a
doing
fun,
it. Sounds like we're
that's a
doing
fun
it.
fact. That's a fun
Speaking of
fact.
speaking of
Wait.
fun facts,
Sounds like we're doing it.
Okay, wait. Are we closer to Baltimore or you? Now that's a fun fact.
ooh,
Probably
I feel like
Baltimore.
Chicago would be
Probably
closer to
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
Baltimore. Yeah.
Then Charlotte
Yeah.
Ooh,
is to
yeah,
Baltimore.
that's a
That'd be
that's a good
close. That'd be a
question.
race. That would be a race. We gotta do we gotta do Pirate Boys, right? It's only fair.
I think you go with our that we're so excited about for this year. That everyone's so
Everyone.
excited about this year.
Paul Skenes.
Mitch Keller. What?
Nope. Brad
Not
Keller.
Brad Keller. Well,
Okay, righty, USA.
Okay.
Not on the
either
Pirates.
young or old.
Ooh,
We got lots
Righty,
of old guys
righty.
on the Pirates. Adam
AL
Frazier.
AL
we get some
West
Frazier's
or
a
old guys?
lefty.
Oh, we're going only Pirates.
Oh, I don't know. No. We want to get
Only
this.
fans.
We are
Say
fans.
say Nick Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Only Pirates.
He's 27, I think, but oh well. He's 25. That's young enough.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay.
All
Exactly
right.
25.
All right. Well, I guess let's move off from the Pirates because otherwise
Yeah.
we're gonna be stuck here forever.
Okay,
A
so we need
25-year-old
AL
not in
AL
the
West or AL East? It
like from the
is.
USA. How old is Volpe's a little bit younger.
Is
Yeah.
he?
Or Judge.
23.
He's 23, yeah.
Judge is older.
Send him.
Older.
Judge is way older than 25.
Oh, I forgot
Okay,
I
so
forgot we had the age. I
Yeah.
forgot we had the
it's
age.
the AL West.
Ooh,
Coveted
okay.
AL West.
How about Brent Rooker?
Oh,
Shout
it's
out
gonna
the
be
A's,
it's gonna
man.
be an A.
He's a little older,
Okay.
I think. Yeah, he's 30. Okay.
Okay. Someone in the AL West. Is it someone on our favorite Angels?
Ooh, let's
Taylor
go
Ward?
with
Taylor Ward is no longer on the Angels, I think. Yeah, he is. Just kidding.
But he's old. He's
Also
old.
31 and
How
a
about
left
Mickey
fielder.
Moniak?
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout. Oops.
Oh, he's
Yep, he's a
lefty.
lefty. Is Logan O'Hoppe a lefty
Yes.
hitter?
I think. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, he's not even can't spell his name.
It's O
Um,
Hoppy.
how
There's
about
apostrophe.
Joe Adele?
Ooh. I saw him
Oh.
hit a home run. It.
I think you just got it. He just got it.
That's a crazy pull.
Nice.
Joe Adele is a pretty wild pull.
I saw him hit a home run against the Cubs last season. It was
Let's
electric.
go.
I
Joe
feel
Adele
like-
is a strange baseball player.
Yeah, he's been a prospect forever.
Yep.
He's
I was like,
25
he's
still?
not older than 25? What?
Oh, that's crazy.
Joe.
Like he's one of those people that you feel like should be really good, and he's just not that good. Wow, there you go,
Hey,
Joe
he's
Adele.
got potential. He's a prospect.
He's still young, still young, younger than Vinny Capra and who's the other guy that you said?
Jack Komsky.
Oh, Gorski.
Gorski.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's funny.
Not Matt Gorski. Not Jack Haglione is 22.
Yeah,
Polish
Matt
guys
Gorski.
can take a seat where it's all about the Italians.
Well, there you have it. Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll see how they end up. Uh, you never know. But like you said, Andrew, next week we'll be taking a peek at the Cincinnati Reds. So be on the lookout for that. We're looking forward to it. Baseball is inches away, so close. Can't wait for the season to start. But until next week, you just attended batting practice. Now you're ready to get in the game. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.